in the heart of the urban jungle, a unique species of Homo sapiens thrives. Identified by their common adornments, the humble hoodie, their peculiar yet endearing rituals involving ping-pong tables, and an astonishing amount of free coffee. The startup Homo sapiens.
I'm no David Attenborough, but I know a thing or two about startups. For example, did you know they don't run on coffee alone?
I'm here to guide you on an extraordinary journey. Our new Twitch series, AWS Let's Build a Startup. Together we shall observe how an idea evolves, grows and matures into a real minimum viable product. All of this within the AWS ecosystem. Whether it's the thirst of knowledge guiding you or simply your passion for free caffeine. Join me on this fascinating journey.
Hey, hello founders. Welcome back to a new episode of AWS Let's Build a Startup. This is a 1-hour show peeking behind the scenes of successful startups from all over the world and that are building on AWS with us. So I'm Giuseppe Battista, I'm a startup solutions architect, and I will be your host for today. And I'm here with Kev. Hey, Kev, how's it going?
Yeah, doing well. You know, every time I watch that intro, I feel like we need coffee with us, but we never seem to do that. I don't know. It feels like a missed opportunity.
I know, you're right. I'm thinking, I don't know what's the policy of actually having beverage live on the show. I probably need to. Okay, that should be fine. I think we probably need to sign a waiver or something for that. But hey, folks.
Yeah, excited to be here again. Glad everyone's joining in. Hopefully from Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, everywhere that we're trying to stream to at least. Yeah, and hopefully, you know, everyone's coming back for episode number 3 now. We had the 2 over the last 2 weeks, which were really great. I think last week we had over 200 people join over the 3 channels that we're streaming on. Pretty cool.
Absolutely. And I think that today we're about 160-ish just on Twitch, and I don't have the other screens, unfortunately. So, folks, if you're in chat, please share your love with us with startups. Let us know where you're coming from. I'm currently based in not so sunny London. I think Kev is quite just a little bit north east of London. Here. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I'm kind of jealous now. And yeah, so just a quick reminder, in this season, we'll be streaming every Tuesday, 2 p.m. BST, 6 a.m. PST, 9 a.m. Eastern time. And if you folks are able to do that magic thing, which is calculating time zones, please just to let me know in the chat box. Super happy to know what other times we're streaming. But yeah, on this show, you'll be able to see founders coming in from RC. We will have Lovable in a few weeks, Hydraulics, and many more. So next week, for example, we'll be having the founding team of Depot.dev, and you'll see how they have managed to build a developer tool that is loved by thousands, and it's actually accelerating potentially hundreds of times the build speed. So we'll get you from your laptop to production in matters of seconds. And we have some folks joining from New Jersey. Hey, you cannot sleep apparently. Thank you so much for joining. And yeah, so I think today is a really packed day. Kev, do you know what do we have in store?
Yeah, so today we're going to be focusing on building MVPs in this new Gen AI era. So we're going to be chatting with Basil Fateen, who's a principal developer advocate for AWS. Literally every time I talk to him, it's focusing on exactly this topic. So excited to have him on here today. True expert in the space. And he's been focusing on this Gen AI starter pack, which 2 weeks ago I was on, we talked about the new AWS free tier. So that is leveraged in what Basil is doing, and something called LeapStacks, which again, we'll talk a little bit more about later in the show. And then we've also got Ro, who is the founder at Educloud Academy. So it's an education platform, over 1,000 monthly users. And the beauty of it, Giuseppe and I are big fans of everything being fully serverless. So super cool to see that. Yeah, and if you have any questions about what we're going to be talking about or what you want us to talk about, drop them in the chat, pick everyone's brain. That's what we're here for. So yeah, let's get to it.
Absolutely. And as Kev was saying, this is our third episode. But if you missed the previous chapters, fear not, we are sharing a few links in the chat box for our previous episodes. So, for example, you can have a look at LanceDB's episode from a couple of weeks ago. And last week, we talked with Sedna and Ran Eisenberg about how to take MCP servers to productions. And yeah, I guess, Kev, before we can start, we have a few announcements.
Announcement. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in 2 weeks, 2 weeks is it? We're gonna have a super. Is it 3 weeks? I don't
think it's
remember
3.
now. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Dates.
Yeah. In a few weeks, we are going to have the fastest growing startup in the world, Lovable, on. And if you don't know Lovable, they're helping anyone and everyone build applications, products, and just using English. And they have really, really big revenue, over 100 million in just 8 months after their launch.
Yeah, their growth is absolutely incredible, and exceptional guest, exceptional host. I'm so super glad to say that we've managed to get our very own chief evangelist Jeff Barr on our show. So please mark in your calendars because I'm getting him out of bed at 6 a.m. in his time zone. So yeah, it's better if we have a great audience to greet him and to greet our folks at Lovable. So this is all happening on August the 19th here at Let's Build a Startup, 2 p.m. BST, 6 a.m. PST, 9 a.m. EST. We'll be streaming live here on Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
Awesome. And so we've got all sorts of programs and such at AWS to get you credits, get you started moving quickly, different learning paths and everything. And we just always like to drop the link to that startups.aws page in the chat there. So feel free to hop there and see more resources we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say potentially we should be bringing up to stage our guest, Basil. Basil is among the best speakers that I haven't had the chance to work with. So I think I'll just leave the mic to him and I'll go grab a coffee, Kev, as you were saying, and it'll just like work his magic. So yeah, no, just kidding. Basil, I'm adding you to the stage. Thank you so much for joining us. How's it going?
It's going great, and thank you so much for having me here again. This is my second time, so I'm expecting some kind of like a souvenir or like a gold jacket or something to mark this milestone.
I will send you.
Thank you for that build up, which now has built up the expectations. So people can only be disappointed by me from now. It can only go lower. So
absolutely. I mean, but that's life, right? In general, I will send you a bit of this fake wall.
Yeah, just a bit of that brick fabric would be good. I'll just.
Absolutely. So, Basil, I know you've been super busy in the last year. Is actually concocting the perfect, I would say, recipe for building prototypes on AWS, especially prototypes that feature generative AI capabilities. And I'm super curious to learn more about it. And again, I can go grab a coffee because I know that you do a great job.
I appreciate that, man. So yeah, as you know, like before I was a principal tech evangelist at AWS, I was a startup founder for many years. And before that, I was in software for many years before that. Like my daughter always calls it the olden days, right? And this is at that time when I was working at different software houses. Most of the time the IT was on-prem. And then even when it was on cloud, we couldn't, as like developers and product managers, just spin up resources. So we had to kind of go through the IT department, send an email, have a meeting, justify why we need what we need. But then when I launched my startup, and that was around like 2011, 2012, then I first started to experience like AWS firsthand as a direct user and customer. And obviously like my mind was blown at just like how easy it is now to just like do things without going through an entire department and setting up meetings and stuff. And I still remember to this day, like when Lambda first got introduced, like how mind-blowing that was as a developer, that wait a second, I could just throw a block of code somewhere and it runs. I send it parameters, it returns. I don't need to worry about like scaling and infrastructure and Linux or anything like that. So to me, that was really an incredible feeling. But because that was around 2011, 2012, and I was building an AI startup at the time, so I was putting, these machine learning models for inference in production. And if anyone has done that, like pre all of these managed services, you know how much of a nightmare that was at the time. But I had to kind of like do everything by hand and, just make sure that I'm like expanding and contract. So I'm not paying a ton of money for just these large servers. But I got to watch as a user how AWS evolved over time and added more managed services and more kind of these digital building blocks and stuff. And now seeing how that can contribute to startup founders, especially building their MVPs right now. So like when Bedrock was introduced, now taking care of all of those things that were very like nightmarish for people who are just launching something and they're hoping that it doesn't crash when a bunch of customers get there, and the ability to swap different models very easily and things like that. That was great. However, I still kept hearing from some customers and some users that putting a stack together was not the easiest thing, especially if they were new AWS users. So as you know, like there's the Bedrock playground, super easy to go in and experiment with models and stuff. But the next level, when you want to actually build that simple demo with a front end and a back end, it needs a bit more plumbing, that AWS mechanics under the hood with IAM and permissions and requesting access. And some people kind of got lost there. And I felt like, wouldn't it be great to not just like continue to create content that explains things, but somehow do a solution that just reduces those number of steps, so that you could launch these stacks quickly and then learn in reverse, and then like kind of like hello world for prototypes, and I was very much aligned with a lot of startup founders who were building to see what kind of stacks they were most interested in that regard. And I chose to start with generative AI based stacks. And when I was trying to think about what that solution was, I had a couple of kind of requirements in my mind. First, I didn't want to add complexity. Sometimes we try to solve problems, but then we do something we think is simpler, but actually adds so many steps. So it had to numerically reduce the number of steps, and I had to quantify that and show that clearly. And the second thing is I wanted it to be completely browser based. So I didn't want any prerequisites of installing, because then it becomes, well, are you on Mac or you're in Windows? Well, then what do you have installed and what versions? And then, there's all of these complexity branches that suddenly open. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if it's just something that installs into your AWS account right away? And then the third thing is I want it to be easily customizable. So not only are you launching quickly, and it's adding this like infrastructure of analytics and all of things you need to track the ROI, but also you're able to like then modify the front end, modify the back end super easily. So after a lot of narratives and docs and rewriting and coding and security reviews, finally I landed on the LeapStacks solution. I'm going to share my screen now and start to walk you through it. And
absolutely. And in the meantime, we're also sharing a link to this website that you see now being brought to stage. Just feel free to peruse. Basil, thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward to this demo.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited, and I've been really blown away by the response, both externally and internally as well. Because like as you know, like even SAs, technical account managers, DAs, we are always creating demos and we're always creating solutions, and sometimes we have to keep reinventing the wheel. So this also has been very much widely adopted by the internal community, which I'm very excited about. So what it is, LeapStacks, is that it installs within your AWS account directly, and it installs a solution where then you're able to browse these ready-made stacks, launch them with one click, and then modify them easily. And the entire LeapStacks journey, number one, it's free and completely open source, and it starts at leapstacks.dev, this website that we're seeing right now. And when I was thinking about the entire end-to-end experience, I always kind of like to be very comfortable knowing what's coming before I actually go through those steps. So even before deploying that stack and environment, if you want to see the entire process first, which I'm going to actually show you live, but if at any point anyone wants to see it, you can click show me first, and that's going to open up a tutorial which guides you through the step-by-step of installing LeapStacks into your account. But I'm going to show you that live because I'm here right now. And all it needs is that you're just logged into your AWS account, and then you click deploy to AWS. And what that does is it opens up a link to your CloudFormation with a quick link to a CloudFormation stack, which is going to install the main LeapStacks environment. And really all you need to do before setting up the installation is just secure that environment. So you add an email and a password. And of course, this doesn't have to be at all your AWS account. This is just to secure your LeapStacks environment. So here, I'm just going to use the default email and set a password.
Sorry, something went wrong with your screen. Can you share it again? Apologies, folks.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and while we wait, if you folks have any questions for Basil, please let us know. I've seen some folks
Please.
actually in a few seconds ago, somebody actually was asking, is this missing coffee a good use case for a Gen AI MVP? Thank you so much, Umar, for asking that question. We'll try to answer that as soon as possible.
Do you see my screen now?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. So all we've done here is just entered an email and a password, and then we're going to go down and acknowledge that it's going to create those resources so that it can create this environment, and click create stacks. And then this will start to create, using this CloudFormation script, the stack that's needed to install the LeapStacks environment. Now this takes just under a minute, but as that's happening, I can kind of tell you a little bit about, well, what are the main components of the solution, and very importantly, how is it secured? Because that's a question I get a lot. So you could really see that there's two major components within LeapStacks. One is this environment that we're installing right now, which opens up an HTML page, a secure HTML page on an S3 bucket, where it has all of the features that are needed to then load these prototypes. And it includes also on the back end a lot of these common resources, custom resources, Lambda functions, all the things that are needed to make this environment work with any dynamic number of these prototypes. Because the vision, of course, of LeapStacks, and I wanted this to be already there within this first version, is that it can host an infinite number of stacks that are created by the internal community, the external AWS community, anyone really who wants to create a stack that helps people do things on AWS. It doesn't even have to be generative AI. They can create that stack. So this is then the second part of the solution, which is it loads dynamically the stacks that are already there on our AWS samples LeapStacks repo, and it launches it into the environment itself. Also, every stack has a common structure and certain functionalities that I'm going to then show you that make it a LeapStacks stack and not just any CloudFormation script. And then finally, what I want to talk to you about here is just answering the questions of like, well, how is this secured? You know, because this does launch into your AWS account. So there's several layers of security that are added within. First, of course, as you saw, is the email and password that's securing the access to LeapStacks itself, and you set it when you're creating that script. The second thing is the access itself, even with that level of security, is only accessible through a pre-signed URL that gets generated when the stack is created, and that link itself expires. So you need to keep clicking that link that gets generated, which generates, you know, an expired and a link that expires on S3. And then every prototype itself, the communication between the front end and the back end gets secured with a dynamically generated API key. And again, every prototype front end is also with a pre-signed URL. So you can share it, for example, with like a prospective customer when you're doing a demo. But then even if they have that to play around with for a while, you can set that expiry and that it expires after a while. So these are just a couple of the ways that we've secured this environment.
Absolutely.
I'm going to check here. And yeah, so it's already installed. So we can just go into outputs and then click on the one link that's there, which is the link to the LeapStacks environment. I'm going to enter the username and password that I had set when setting up the environment. And then that's going to load the LeapStacks environment into your account itself. The first installation takes a couple of seconds because it's loading all of the assets from the backend, the scripts, the metadata, the resources into your own AWS account. So everything runs from there. And this is what it looks like. It's a completely video guided experience. So you first get a welcome guide from me explaining, hi, welcome to the generative AI prototyping environment. You can relax. This is
fun.
Yeah, so it's just like I wanted it to, you feel like you're kind of guided at every steps, and it's very much video based, and all of the explanations, all of the videos, all of the terminologies show here as a video playlist. So you're able to, you know, before opening up a stack, you're able to click the button.
Prototype 1, and basic Gen AI chatbot.
I explain what the prototype is, and I'm going to show it to you in a second. But before that, I would just want to highlight a couple of things in this environment. let's say that this is a fresh AWS account that you've set up, or you have never used models on Amazon Bedrock before. One of the first kind of hurdles that I found some people kind of getting confused with is, do I have access to these models or not? And even the idea of requesting access first to models on Bedrock so that you could utilize them through code. So if you do not have model access, I first check that in the backend based on the access of the models that are utilized within this solution. And then, if you don't have access, obviously you cannot launch any prototypes. You need at least access to one model because you select the model when launching the prototype. And if you don't, you could just click enable, and then, as you know, it'll take you through the model request process on Bedrock, which is a very simple process of requesting access. Takes about a minute usually, and then you can come back here, click refresh, and then this will disappear. It'll show you the new model access, and then whatever models you have access to will appear in the drop-down list so that you can choose which prototype you're launching.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful, man.
Let's pause. I want to hear, what do you think so far?
Yeah, so one of the things that really blew my mind when you told me about this project you were running is the fact that your stacks, if you forget about them, they will self-destruct. I found that so liberating, because one of the things that we've heard from customers is that hey, it's great that we do have access to all of these resources. I want to make sure that all of these resources are actually properly cleaned up, and you're solving this in a brilliant way. So first of all, you're choosing by default serverless stacks, which means that you will only pay for what you use. Then on top of that, there is the fact that you will be having this sort of auto expiring of these demos, and I found that absolutely brilliant. Plus, you've paired that with the new idea of the AWS free tier, which I think together these are absolutely the right recipe for building prototypes. Kev, what do you think?
And even within the free tier concept, I deployed this while we were sitting here because I was curious myself. It shows the price that the stack is actually going to cost you too, which I really like. And the basic chatbot is $0.00056 an hour, which I mean is essentially free, but with the actual free tier, that's pretty good. And it's really nice to get started quickly and interact with this stuff. And it's fun to play with so far.
Game changing for all of the founders. I will be pushing it. Not pushing. I will be. Sorry, that was the salesman coming out. And I will be showing this to all of my customers. And I think they'll be very, very happy to adopt it.
I appreciate that, and I'm glad you guys brought up the things of the auto destroy and the pricing and stuff, because from here I was really also looking at it very much from indie hacker startup founder point of view. Is number one, something that's happened with me a lot. I'm sure it's happened with you. I'm sure it's happened with a lot of people. Is that sometimes you're going to get a script or a prototype or something. You're going to deploy it. You're going to start building and playing around, and then something happens to distract you. You get a call or you go out, and then you forget to delete the resources, and then you get reminded by an email at the end of the month and get a mini heart attack, and nobody wants that, right? So I just wanted to completely prevent the probability that this happens. You don't have to remember to delete anything. That's why I added this auto destroy toggle, which is on by default. I mean, you can turn it off, of course, and in which case nothing is going to get auto deleted. But if it's on by default, as soon as you launch that prototype, it sets that 2-hour timer, and that timer is in a backend step function, so you don't even have to have the browser open or anything like that. It's going to nuke everything and just make sure everything is gone, so you don't have to worry about that, and you can kind of experiment freely within that time it's available. And then the other thing,
I was thinking that again, pairing this also with the free tier, the fact that you now have up to $200 in credits, this is extend the runway of the credits by so much. So I want to thank you on behalf of all of the founders that are following us today, because I think this is going to help them, making decision quickly, iterating very fast on the products that they want to try and adopt. I would say that if you're not using LeapStacks as of today, you should. And Basil, again, this was such a great demo. I don't know if there's any other call to actions that you would like to share with our audience right now before we go to our next segments of the show.
No, that's please do download LeapStacks. It's very, very easy to use. The one other thing I'll just add is that once you do deploy a prototype, one of the benefits is that you can link it to Amazon QCLI locally, and it links to that. Of course, that if it's like once QCLI is installed and your AWS account is linked to it, then you can immediately start making updates to that prototype itself. And actually, it would make sense for me. I'll just show you that video because it'll explain what that first prototype is in the stack and then how you can do that. I'll just play this.
Let's go. Let me just add it back to
how that
the
works.
stage.
Prototype, basic Gen AI chatbot. This sets up the simplest generative AI prototype on AWS. It creates a front-end HTML file, which sends a message from the chat, which triggers a serverless function on the back end, which sends the prompt to an LLM and returns the result. Boom, that's it. All the necessary permissions and roles have already been created for you, so it works out of the box. Explore the sections below to learn more about the services used, how to customize it or plug it into your existing application, which is now easier than ever with Amazon QCLI. One click connects your prototype, and then you can make live changes just using prompts. Happy building.
That is so beautiful. Basil, I don't know how to thank you. And again, I know it was challenging to show up today. So from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of our founders, thank you so much for joining.
One last question, if I can steal you before you run away. What does LEAP stand for? I see it's all capitals, and we haven't gone over that.
I think so. Originally, it was launch environment for AI prototypes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm keeping it relatively ambiguous right now because it just in my mind, you're just leaping over that initial bump or learning curve. You know what I mean?
Love that.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, man.
I appreciate you inviting me, and always a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Absolutely, Basil. And now we're going to transition into our next segment. With us today, we have Ro from Educloud Academy. I'll see you in a few seconds.
Oh!
Hey, Ro, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining.
Hey, man. How you guys doing? Jeez,
Yeah.
Good to have you.
I think Basil should leave some of the opportunities for us. That was amazing. Good Lord.
Absolutely, is fantastic. So I think you folks should be working really together because I know that you folks I think there's a little bit of overlap and we will talk about it today. Well, thanks. Thank you for that. But Ro, so can you give us a little bit of an intro to what what your concept of an education platform is?
Right. So this platform is actually first and foremost, I built it for myself. This was the platform that I think I needed when I just got into cloud, when I got introduced into cloud back in 2021. I needed a platform where I could see how to build projects through hands-on workshops. Not just telling me about what a Lambda function is or what a step function is, but show me from a real-world perspective how to use those, because that's really what I would face in the job market. I mean, in an enterprise, and that's the edge that I'll have, when I'm actually going in for a job, facing recruiters and stuff like that. I built the platform first for myself. Like, okay, if I'm about to grab opportunities at this point, if I'm about to send my CV to recruiters, how do I stand out? What are they? What do they want to see at this point? So that's just Educloud Academy in a nutshell.
Yeah, and absolutely. So the idea is that this is going to help students all over the world, dipping their toes into actually build on AWS. But the way that you're guiding them is to helping them building their portfolio, so they will be able to either share it with their prospective employers, maybe a startup, or maybe even demonstrate their skills as builders when trying and pitching a startup project. I don't know, maybe to some seed investors or anything like that. Potentially,
Absolutely.
even VCs and other investor firms. But yeah, so that is fantastic, and I think the unique selling point, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show, is the fact that you are able to iterate on viral technologies that are coming out. I think one of your tutorials was kind of the first one that I saw around like how to build an MCP server on AWS, and then how to integrate Strands agents. So there is a lot of very, very interesting content on the platform. And I know you have organized it around some tracks. Can you tell us a bit more about it, or maybe even show it?
Absolutely. I think I would like to show it.
Yeah, let's do this. I think you should share your screen, and then we'll go live. But in the meantime, folks, if you have questions for Ro, or if you want us to send some questions back to Basil, please do feel free to use the various chat box. And for the folks who have just joined us, this is AWS Let's Build a Startup. This is a 1-hour show about picking behind the scenes of successful startups. Today, we had Basil Fateen joining us, and with us right now, Ro from Educloud Academy, who is just about to show us how Educloud Academy works and what are the various tracks that you can subscribe to learn more about how to build in the cloud.
Great. So I think my screen is visible at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So this is the home page. While building this, I had two demographics in mind, two set of people in mind. I had beginners, and then I had experienced developers, maybe intermediate developers. So now we have courses, and then we have learning paths. Sometimes you just want to, get in and, you've seen, or you want to just go through a single workshop, and see how it works, and then you know how to, maybe integrate some of it into your current applications and move on from there. And sometimes you need a structured, learning path where it takes you through a step-by-step flow on how to, enhance your skill, but from a practical perspective. So I simply have two learning paths here. We have the AWS Solutions Architect, and then we have the most popular, which is the AWS Cloud AI Developer, which, based on the details, based on the figures we have, a lot of users always go for the Cloud AI Developer because of AI. So
yeah,
I'll just go ahead and click on that. You're about to say something?
No, I would say, I mean, it's only legit, right? This is exploding right now. So I think I love the fact that you managed to capture the the attention of your audience through this as well, and your ability to like execute really, really fast. And I guess that there is a little bit of serverless magic in it, but we'll talk about it a bit later.
Yeah, I think everyone should also follow along with what we're doing here. Like I'm clicking along looking at the learning path. So everyone here presumably is trying to learn. So I'll send a link in the chat for everyone to follow along these learning paths.
Yeah, and if I can actually add on something, I'm extremely frugal when it comes to cost of a platform. I make sure that before you want to start really spending, you should actually be maybe earning, on the platform and what you've built. So the applications are always serverless first. It's not something, because you have to understand that AWS has above 200 services, and most of those services, therefore that's the services that are for high-end projects, and and there are services where you can actually use it to really get up and running really, very fast, and only pay for what you use. And that's actually where I try to focus my attention on the most, because you don't want a student spending a lot of money while they are learning. It doesn't work like that. So at least, yeah.
No, and again, I was saying, building this on top of the free tier as well.
Exactly.
I think it's a fantastic pair. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the AWS Cloud AI Developer path. Now, before actually, I sat in my room and built this, but I had to now start visiting local universities around, to get in touch with reality a little bit, and I kind of discovered something. There was based on the data we had gathered, there was a huge gap between beginners, the people students who are trying to get into the cloud, and my content. So my content wasn't that beginner friendly, and so I had to like struggle, or figure out a way to fill in that gap. That's why I see here the first 3 projects here are introduction to AWS cloud computing. This is not a workshop I ever planned on doing, but after visiting these universities, I had to do this because now I realized that they couldn't make sense of what I was talking about because they did not even really know what AWS cloud computing is. So I had to like fill in that gap. So I started by building a workshop through ClickOps, that's introduction to AWS cloud ClickOps, and then talk to them about infrastructure as code, what infrastructure as code is, and then now build that same workshop that I built on the AWS console. Now use it IAC or infrastructure as code to build it now. Now show them the difference. Why they should use IAC. Why IAC is the recommended path to move forward. So apart from that, now you start getting into things a little bit serious from there. Event-driven applications, because it's not just about showing you how to build the project, but it's about letting you know why you're building it and how to like connect the services, because at the end of the day, it's like you're building a car from Legos. So you know how to bring what 2 services complement each other, which service has to be where, and why you're making what decision you're making. And then
there are so many decision points as you go through these. So that's really great that you add that in. Like, every day when I'm building something, I think, okay, which path should I go down? So that's fantastic that you added in there. And like you said, the very first step of ClickOps versus infrastructure as code. And you just said, like, you should probably go down the infrastructure as code route. And that's great as well, because it also helps with the problem of frugality, because it's really easy to click a button on the screen and then forget that you did that 20 minutes later. So I love the path that you have here.
Yeah. So after I know you're comfortable with event-driven applications, because I mean that's really the basis, event-driven architectures. Then I start gradually introducing you to some AI, building a group chat serverless application, and then moderating the application using guardrails, AWS Bedrock guardrails. And that's now I'm gradually introducing you to generative AI and how they work. Then a basic introduction to MCP servers, and then showing you how to connect to other MCP servers, and then really diving deep now into agentic applications and showing you how to build stuff that's useful. For example, for this building an agentic workflow for ordering groceries online, it was just, I don't know, there's an application out there that helps you just write down your grocery list, write down your grocery list, and then, you can export it either as an image, a PDF file, or text. So I was just imagining a scenario where instead of actually getting onto a grocery app and, clicking around for your groceries, how about you export the list of your list of groceries, and then you upload it to an application. And what the application does is that it scans, it picks out the items you want, and then it creates that order, sends it over to Stripe. Stripe generates a payment link, and all you have to do is pay and get the invoice. You get it invoiced to your mailbox. And this is actually what this application talks about. All the services it brings together, and it's all serverless also. And it shows you how to really mix and match the services. How step functions work and how you can really use it efficiently to build nice agentic workflows. And then after that, you can get really deep now into maybe some complex scenarios, which are also interesting, like building multimodal pipelines with the new agent core, AWS agent core, and all that. And one thing I don't know if a lot of students get, but some students get, is that our workshops are really, really detailed. Like there are a lot of tips and tricks within the workshop that if you pay attention just to one workshop, maybe you wouldn't even need the others.
Yeah, I mean, that one you mentioned of the grocery store application, for example, of your grocery list,
Yeah.
there's a lot that's going on there. I feel like you're going to learn so much from doing just that type of application on its own. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I actually
absolutely.
spoke about this application on Stripe, the Stripe platform, Stripe YouTube channels, because it's really
Nice.
great. And I like it because it's practical too, and you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I think, and also one of the things that that we were discussing about when we had a few preliminary chats is that with generative AI in the mix and actually the way that now we can code, I would say faster. It feels like the the hello world of the new world, or like the post-generative AI world is transitioning from like, hey, look, I was able to deploy my static web application on S3 bucket, or like I don't know, here's my WordPress website, to like actually my hello world is going to like demonstrate how can I make my first dollar out of a product, and it feels like you're going exactly into that direction. Super cool. This is absolutely great. And talking about money, I know that you're doing everything to be everything you can to be frugal as much as possible. So let's talk about your
Absolutely.
AWS bill.
Okay. Yeah, like I've never had a bill of above $15 ever, for the 2 years I've been running the platform. And we get AWS is, I mean, they're really nice, so they always give us some handouts on credits and stuff like that. So I've never really paid any cloud bill. It's it's really interesting, and that's the power of serverless.
Oh wow, that's that's. I mean, I if I recall correctly as well, like one of the first startups that I worked on, we weren't we didn't really get a bill before like the 50 monthly active users, and one of the things that I know that you folks are absolutely over that. I think you have more than 1,000 monthly active students. Is that right?
Yeah, and we have above 400 daily active users as well. So
wow, that's beautiful. So so I think that's that is super interesting. Do you know if your students have already built something? Can you share something about what they've done?
actually, I just have all I have are testimonials, but I don't have their projects here, and that's what
That's okay.
we're trying to solve right now, because we're organizing a 30-day cloud and AI challenge for the month of August. So I think at the end of August, I'll definitely have a ton of stories, to share, and I think it'll get the community super pumped.
That's beautiful. So let me know when you get it. I was super happy to share it here on the show as well. And when we're super happy like to bring on stories from all over the world, because I'm super curious, and yeah, I'm used to the European market or the UK-based market, but I've never had the chance to actually work with folks who are actually building in Africa. You're based in Cameroon, right? So
Right.
can you tell me a bit more about your the market that you're operating in? If there are any interesting challenges that you folks have based in Cameroon or in Africa, you're actually facing.
Absolutely. Actually, for about a year and a half, I was running the project, and I thought I was facing reality, but I had to actually get in touch with reality. And I did that by beginning a project where I had to visit a ton of universities around me, to talk about cloud and AI. I've been posting updates on LinkedIn with pictures and stuff like that. And the first thing that the first issue that I found was the network, internet. Internet is still a problem in remote areas here, and it wasn't something that I'll just sit in my room and figure out. I had to really go to the areas and try accessing the platform, or try learning, studying on the platform from that area and seeing the difficulty. And internet is still a problem. So internet is the first thing, and then the second reality check was, we're in a bilingual country. You know, we speak both French and English, and where I'm operating is the French zone, and I realized that I had to get a translator because I'm not that fluent in French myself. But I had to get a translator to, you know, maybe to translate what I was saying to the students. And now I was like, okay, all the content on Educloud Academy is English. You know, how do I expect these students who are French spoken to understand what I'm saying? And this is where generative AI can really, really work, you know, because it can help you translate that content. It can help you, I mean, like close the gap a little bit, you know, not 100%, but, you know, close it a little bit. And that's what we've also been working on. So we faced network issues, internet, and then a language barrier was really, really a problem. And then the third thing is, I don't know, technologically, we are slow, you know. It's a sad thing to say, but that's the truth. You know, it's 2025 and you still have students, even at advanced levels, they're not really that they're not, they're repulsed by tech. I don't know how to put it, but they're not excited with the technological innovations happening around the world. It's not that there's not a point where somebody, a student, is like, okay, they want to, you know, get to this level, they want to learn or master these services or stuff. Like, everybody's just so cool and so adamant about it. And, you know, that's one of my aims now for the next year, is like really show them what's possible, because that's really why we started this campaign, you know, to show them what's possible from their bedrooms, from their small cubicle, from their areas. You know, everything now is on the internet. And then generative AI is now here to help you. If you cannot use it to earn, maybe you should use it to learn. You know, learn, and you learn quicker, and then you can start earning. You know, don't just have the idea that you would get out of university and, you know, maybe there's a local job around which you can, you know, maybe go get it, instead of maybe thinking about working from your cubicle, or changing your life from where you are, because that's really the power of the internet. And it has worked many times for me, and it's working so many times. And I'm trying to show you that, hey, these are the opportunities. This is how the world is moving now. What are we doing? You know, and the resources are there, and they are there at your disposal, and they are very, very, very affordable. All you have to do is just expand your mindset and sit down and learn. You know,
Wow,
so
I love that. I had to quote it a little bit of learn then earn.
Yeah.
And that mentality is so fantastic, and part of what we're doing here and what you're doing. So that's so
Absolutely.
well put.
You're
Thank
playing
you.
like a
Thank you.
vital role. This is why I wanted you to be so bad on this show. And I think the last bit I'm gonna ask you before I'm gonna share some of the discount code that you have for your for your platform. You know, apart from this, like, is there any other piece of advice that you would like to give to young founders or young entrepreneurs? I do have a piece of advice for you for
right.
coming out of this, but I want to hear from you first.
Yeah, like it's a very, I hate using the word difficult. I like saying challenging. It's a very challenging game, but I mean, that's what it takes. You have to be really resilient. You know, you have to be very resilient, and you have to be how can I put it? You have to be a shock absorber. You know, it's yes. And then always just try to, what I try to do, especially when I'm backed up against the wall, is look at what, I mean, I don't know if I'm going against startup advice, but I like to look at my competition and then do what they are not doing. No, I know my competition, and I know damn well that they will not be able to get to Cameroon and maybe travel 330 kilometers away to talk about cloud and AI. So I'm ready to do that. You know, I would like to do that. That's what I'm doing. So I like to get to those areas where it's difficult to reach them, and, you know, get there. And so you just have to have that competitive edge. And in order to have that competitive edge, you must be resilient and persistent. All those names. You have to be a shock absorber. You have to be ready to absorb a lot of shock, and always have that mindset of, okay, moving forward, no matter the consequence or no matter what happens, I'll get up tomorrow and move forward.
Absolutely, this is so beautiful, and thank you so much for this. I have been sharing a few links to Educloud Academy. There are a few discount code that we are sharing right now. I will be sending them on YouTube and LinkedIn. Kev, if you can share them on Twitch, I'm afraid that my laptop is going to explode if I try to do the same on every platform. Not my laptop, but rather my internet connection. You mentioned networking issues. The last time we mentioned networking issues with a customer coming from Nigeria, we just all went down. So I will not upset the connection or the network gods again on this show. I'm glad you did it. But yeah, so Ro, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for being with us today. This has been absolutely incredible. Educloud Academy, please do reach out via LinkedIn or here on Twitch. We will also be sharing some other interesting links to actually book some meetings with us in a few seconds. But there are a few other announcements that I just wanted to repeat. Folks, thank you so much for staying with us till the end of the hour. This has been AWS Let's Build a Startup. We stream normally on every Tuesday at 2 p.m. BST, 6 p.m. PST, 9 a.m. EST. Other time zones, please, you do the math. I am absolutely terrible at that. And next week, we will be hosting the founding team of Depot.dev, and we will learn a little bit more about how they build thousands and thousands of developers love, and how they're accelerating the build of software hundreds of times. I'm super excited about that. There is I guess another announcement that Kev, I wanted you to share.
Yeah, I just want to again thank you, Ro, so much for joining today. It's been lovely to learn, and as you said, learn then earn. I think we should all take that to heart and focus on our learning. But yeah, thank you for joining. So for everyone in the audience, if you're a founder and you want to learn using what Ro's built, that's great. And then if you want to have a chat with some AWS folks, myself, Giuseppe, or someone from our scouting team, Giuseppe is going to drop a link, or a few of us are going to drop a link in the random chats. Yeah, it'll connect to our calendars, and you can book a meeting with us to discuss what it is you're building and see how we can help out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last announcement is that we will have in a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks from now, Lovable with us on August the 19th, and we've also managed to get Jeff Barr to actually interview them. So exceptional guest, exceptional host. And yeah, please do book your calendars. I'm getting him out of bed at 6 a.m. I'm not sure how this is going to be good for my career, but we do it for our customers. And yeah, thank you so much for sticking around today. And a big thank you for our chat squad. Ayman, Carolina, and Marco. Thank you for being always so ready to answer questions in the chat box. And I guess I'll see you all next week. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye. Thank you all.
Bye.